Mother, breathing out with me. Breathing in, I am sitting with my mother's back. Breathing out, I am breathing with my mother's lungs. My mother's back, my mother's lungs. monastic brothers and sisters are invited to come up for offering chanting before the Dharma talk.
Breathing out. Breathing with my mother's lungs. My father's back. My mother's lungs. Tiếp tục ha. It's too loud. Yeah. Breathing in. I am sitting with my father's back. Okay.
Contemplations before chanting. The Sangha is invited to come back to our breathing so that our collective energy of mindfulness will bring us together as an organism, going as a river with no more separation. Let the whole Sangha breathe as one body, chant as one body, listen as one body, and transcend the boundaries of a delusive self, liberating from the superiority complex, the inferiority complex, and the equality complex.
Most respected and beloved Thai, dear beloved Sangha, today is the 5th of December in the year 2021, and we are in the Dharma Cloud Temple, the Upper Hamlet. And today we have a chance together to look at the discourse on the Dharma seal. I am here because you are there. And you are there because I am here. I don't think you'd be there if there was no one sitting up here. Discourse on the Dharma seal, the 3 doors of liberation. In Chinese, the sutra is called simply The Buddha Teaches the Dharma Seal. I heard these words of the Buddha one time when the Lord was residing at Shravasti. I think there's a mistake in the chanting book, it says Vaishali. Was residing at Shravasti with his community of bhikshus. One day he told the community, "Do you know of the wonderful Dharma seal? Today I would like to tell you about it and explain it to you." Tell you about it means to tell you about its different parts. In fact, here it probably means the different parts are the 3 doors of liberation by which we can enter the Dharma seal. So I would like to explain it to you, tell you about its different parts. Please use your pure mind to listen and receive it with care, and make the best effort to remember and practice it. The community of bhikshus replied, "Wonderful, world-honored one, please teach us. We'll listen carefully." When we say use your pure mind, we mean don't have any ideas. Because sometimes when we listen to a sutra, our ideas can be an obstacle for us being able to understand the sutra. So pure mind here means don't bring up your own ideas to compare with the ideas you hear in the sutra. And receive it with care. We have to be careful about the Dharma because it can be a poisonous snake. And if we catch it by the tail, we might get bitten. So receive it with care means be careful the snake doesn't bite you. And it also means that the person who is talking about the sutra has to be careful not to put out too many things that could bite people. So we have to be careful not to be caught in ideas, be able to let go of ideas. And sometimes the most useful Dharma talks for me are the ones when I walk out of the room and I feel that I am a different person and I don't quite know why. But something in the Dharma talk watered some seeds that hadn't been watered for a long time, and it made me different. So we don't have to use our intellect to listen to the Dharma. We just have to let it penetrate us and change us if it can. The Buddha said, emptiness is neither being nor non-being. It is free from all wrong views or wrong perceptions. It does not have the sign produced, does not have the sign destroyed, and it cannot be grasped by our views. Why is this so? Because emptiness cannot be located in space. It has no form. It is not an object of perception. It has never been born, and the intellect cannot grasp it. It cannot be grasped in any way. Because it cannot be grasped, it embraces all dharmas and dwells only in non-discursive, non-discriminative wisdom. This is the true and right understanding, bhikshus. You should know that not only emptiness, but all dharmas are like that. This is the Dharma seal. When I was writing a book about Christianity and Buddhism, I said that this paragraph we have just read could be used by a Christian to describe God. And if we think about quantum mechanics, we can say that it could be used by a scientist to describe a photon. So, yeah. There's something very deep and very universal, and not just Buddhist. So now I would like to talk a little bit about what we mean by Dharma seal. If you look up the word Dharma seal in the Buddhist dictionary, it will tell you that we have different numbers of Dharma seals, and some of the Dharma seal teachings belong to the Hinayana, the Theravada, and some of them belong to the Mahayana. But I don't quite agree with the way they divide it up like that. So we will start with the Theravada Teachings, and that is the teachings that the Buddha gave. And we know that we have these teachings now in Pali and in Chinese, and the sutra that we have been reading comes from the Chinese. And in Pali, we don't have any sutra of this sort, no equivalent sutra to this Chinese sutra. But in the Chinese canon, we have 3 sutras about the Dharma seal. This is one of them. It's Taisho 104. And another one is the Samyukta Agama number 80. And there's another sutra, which is number 103 in the Taisho. But I can't read Chinese and I don't know what it says. So I won't talk about it today. I'll talk about these 2. So if we want to talk about the Theravada, we will talk about the 3 Dharma seals. In Pali, they don't call them Dharma seals, they call them signs, Tilakhana. But we can call them Dharma seals. And the first one is impermanence. And the second one is no self. And the third one is nirvana. All formations are impermanent. They are by nature without a separate self. And when we are able to see clearly their non-production and non-destruction, we will be able to see that they are nirvana. This is the 3 Dharma seals. And sometimes we have something called suffering here. As a Dharma seal. But when suffering is there, nirvana is not there. And when nirvana is there, suffering is not there. So you can't have them as Dharma seals at the same time. They have to either be one or the other. And we know that Shu'am has always taught that the 3rd Dharma seal should be nirvana. And that is... I will talk about that later in relation to number 104. So normally people will say these are 3 Dharma seals that are taught in the Hinayana, and there is also 1 Dharma seal, which if you look in the dictionary, it will say is only taught in Mahayana. But when we read this sutra, we know that it's talking about the 1 Dharma seal. So it must be in Theravada, because this is a Theravada sutra. Although it's not in Pali, it's in Chinese. And so this is the 3 Dharma seals, and 1 Dharma seal. And this 1 Dharma seal is called the true face Dharma seal, the true sign Dharma seal. We can call the true nature Dharma seal. well, these are all, this is impermanent Dharma seal, no self Dharma seal, nirvana Dharma seal, and this is true nature Dharma seal. In Vietnamese, it is nhất thật tướng pháp ăn. And then, so for me, these all belong to the original teachings of the Buddha. And then we have the Mahayana. And in the Mahayana, I'm talking now mainly about the commentaries and the Yogacara school, which is the Buddhist psychology school. And they have 4 Dharma seals, which are impermanence, no self, nirvana, and they still keep suffering sometimes. And one more is emptiness. So these are all called Dharma seals. It's clear, huh? Yeah, I think it's clear. So the next thing we need to look at is the word Dharma. So we have Dharma, which has a capital D. And we have Dharma, which has a small d. So when we talk about the Dharma seal, are we talking about capital D or are we talking about small d? If we talk about the capital D, Dharma seal, it means that all these are the seal of a Buddhist teaching, of a teaching that is correct in Buddhism. If we use the Dharma seal with a small d, it means that this is the seal of all phenomena. All phenomena are like this. All phenomena are all these things. So, Dharma seal in this sutra, which of these is it? The one we're studying. It's both. It means both. This true nature refers to all phenomena, but it's also the mark of the teachings that the Buddhas give us. So we don't have to worry, is it one or the other? It's both. This is the true and right understanding, bhikshus. You should know that not only emptiness, But all dharmas, that is, all phenomena, are like that. This is the Dharma seal. So because the Buddha said all phenomena are like that, we know this must be a seal for all phenomena. So here it is like saying that this emptiness is the Dharma seal. And there we have it in the Mahayana, emptiness is a Dharma seal. Yes, we'll come back. So we'll go to the next paragraph. The Dharma seal is the 3 doors of liberation. It is the basic teaching of all Buddhas, the eye of all Buddhas, the place all Buddhas go back to. Listen and receive it with care. The Buddha reminds us once again we have to be careful not to catch a snake, because the Buddha said that the teaching of emptiness can cure us of being caught in a separate self. But if we are caught in emptiness, there's nothing that can cure us. So emptiness is a cure. It's not an idea or a view to be caught in. Memorize it well in order to reflect and meditate right in the heart of reality. So here we have this true nature Dharma seal, which we're talking about here. And we have 3 practices. The 3 doors of liberation are also called the 3 samadhi, the 3 concentrations. So we know that they are a meditation practice. And that's what we're talking about today. The practice of looking deeply in meditation, in concentration. So here we have emptiness again. As a samadhi, as a concentration, something you concentrate on, the empty nature. And then we have signlessness. Signlessness. So these are 3 ways of looking deeply, that can liberate us. And they all reflect the true nature. They all help us to see the true nature of things, which we're not born with the capacity. Well, we have it as a potential in our alaya consciousness, but we're not born with the capacity to see things in their true nature. And we also need the conventional truth, which is not the true nature, so we need both. So these must be seen as practices, and in order not to confuse people who get very confused about these terms, I think it's safe never to call them Dharma seals. This sutra is just about one Dharma seal. And so call them 3 doors of liberation, or call them 3 concentrations. And then we won't confuse people. It is the basic teaching, the root teaching of all Buddhas. the eye. The eye here means the way that the Buddhas look at the world. The place that the Buddhas go back to. We talk about the place of going back to, the place our mind can go back to. Do you remember that famous quotation from the Itivuttaka that says, "Monks, there is the unborn, the undying, the not being, the not non-being, the not made, the not conditioned." And then the Buddha said that if there were not the non-born and the non-dying, birth and death, being and non-being, would have no place to go back to. So we need that place to go back to, that place of the ultimate dimension, in order to not to be overwhelmed by the conventional world, and to be able to see the true nature. And we all have that place to go back to. So in the first paragraph that talks about emptiness as the Dharma seal, it talks in a very inclusive way about every aspect of emptiness. And then in the next paragraph that we are going to read, we will see that it talks about emptiness as a particular way of concentrating and liberating ourselves. And this is found in the first part of the insight that brings us to the other shore. Avalokiteshvara, while looking deeply, saw that the five skandhas don't have a separate self-entity. And after that, he was liberated, or she was liberated from all suffering. Bhikshus find a quiet place, such as in a forest under a tree, to meditate on the true nature of things. In the paragraph before, we have meditate right in the heart of reality. Actually, it's the same expression, meditate on the true nature. In Vietnamese, it is Như Thật, quan sát. And it means, in a way, to see things as they are. In Sanskrit, it's difficult, I'm sorry. In Sanskrit, we have the word tatata, which is new tak and observe things as they are. Tatata means this is itness. This is it. I think Thai wrote the calligraphy like that. It's like that. And nothing to add, nothing to take away. It's just like that. See the true nature as it is. So this is this kind of meditation. You know in the Satipatthana Sutta, you are told many ways to meditate on the body, to see the different elements in the body, to be aware of the breathing. And I'm sure the monks were aware of the breathing when doing their meditation in the Buddha's time. and the decomposition of the body. And then when the Buddha has given all the exercises that you can do to be aware of your body, there's just one sentence at the end, and it says, or he observes, this is the body, and keeps that observation until understanding comes about. So that is a little bit like the meditation that is suggested here. We meditate on the body just as it is. And of course we need a quiet place to do that. It's very difficult to meditate in a noisy place. And for me, the meditation on emptiness of the 5 skandhas is done best in sitting meditation. Whereas the meditation on signlessness, I think it can be done in many, many meditations. In eating meditation, maybe walking meditation, we can also meditate on the emptiness of the 5 skandhas. So we need a place to meditate. Yeah, we were very lucky, in the Buddha's time, that the climate allowed one to sit at the foot of a tree and receive the energy of the tree while meditating. And when we practice sitting meditation, we also have a gatha to remind us that the Bodhi tree is behind us, supporting our meditation. There you can see that the body is impermanent, always changing, not solid, and empty of a separate self. And as a result, you will not be attached to the body. So I have to ask permission of maybe Ananda, I don't know, and permission of Thai that I change this a little bit. And at this point, when we are talking about how you should see the body, impermanent, always changing, not solid, empty of a separate self, is what I use in my personal meditation. But if you read we have 2 versions, and this one, the Samyukta Agama, is the version where it says that it doesn't talk about the body being painful. It leaves that out. And I try meditating on the body as being painful, but it's not so effective for me. In this sutra, which is the one that Thai has translated in the chanting book, it said that the body is painful. The body is impermanent, painful, and something else. Empty of a separate self. So that's okay. Sometimes our body is in pain. And when my body is in pain, I do meditate to see my body is in pain. And I want to ask myself, does that help me not be attached to my body? And the one thing it does help me with is that when I see that my body is in pain, I see that I am not sovereign of my body. I cannot tell my body, don't be in pain. I cannot tell my body, don't get sick. When the causes and conditions are there for my body to be in pain or to be sick, that will happen, and I have absolutely no control over that. So that is quite good meditation for me in a way, because it shows me that there's no I there who can give out the orders for the body to do what it wants it to do. So that is helping me to let go of my idea that I am my body, and is helpful. But if we use this meditation that, when our body is not in pain, when our body is feeling well, and then we say to ourselves, the body is painful, it means that we think, one day it'll get sick, one day it'll be in pain. And to me, that's not quite meditating on how things are. In fact, the Buddha did teach a sutra, and I regret I've forgotten where, when the Buddha said, monks, the body is not just painful. The body also can bring us pleasant feelings. Yeah. Otherwise, how could we bear it if our body was just painful all the time, never had pleasant feelings? It would be unbearable. So when we do total relaxation, our body can feel, we can let go of everything, all the tension. Our body can feel so pleasant. And in fact, in the Anapanasati Sutta, when we have the breathing in, I'm aware of my body. Breathing out, I relax my body. And then what is the next breathing? Breathing in, I experience joy. And I feel that joy, it comes mainly from relaxing your body. So that is why I ask permission of Thai, and I ask permission of Ananda to leave painful out and take the version that is in Samyukta Agama. When I meditate on my body as impermanent, and I see that at every moment it's changing, cells are being born, cells are dying at every moment. Blood is changing at every moment. The breathing is changing my body at every moment. That is very helpful for me, because just by seeing that constant change, and that my body isn't the slightest bit solid, anything could knock it and damage it, or even put an end to it. It's not solid. When I can see that, I don't feel attached to my body. I can see clearly that it's not me, it's not mine, because me and mine, they can't change all the time like that, like my body can. So to me, that is enough. To see, to not be attached to the body, impermanence is enough. And maybe to see that you are not sovereign of your body. And by doing this, you will reach a non-discursive, non-discriminative understanding of the body. And that is very important as far as saying painful, because painful is already discriminating. Pain and pleasure are two opposites. And if you have pain, you have to have pleasure. If you have pleasure, you have to have pain. So if you say my body is bad, you're already discriminating. And I think that is something we can do. We can not like our body. We can think that it's not helpful for our practice. And we get ideas of good, our body is good, or our body is bad. Our body is beautiful, or our body is ugly. And when we really touch the true nature of our body, it's not good, it's not bad, it's not beautiful, it's not ugly. It's just there as it is. And that is what is meant by non-discriminative. And non-discursive means that in your meditation you're not thinking about this and that. In the Chinese here, it says in Vietnamese, bình đẳng. So it means in Sanskrit, samatha. And samatha means even. It doesn't go up and it doesn't go down. And it's a way of describing your concentration. That you have seen that the body is like that, just as it is, not good, not bad. And you don't then start thinking about all other kinds of things. Especially you don't think, oh, I've realized the non-discriminative understanding. You don't have any ideas like that. But you actually can hold, in an even way, your understanding of how the body is. So that is a little bit the meaning of non-discursive. And we don't think about our body when we meditate on our body. We feel our body. So then we have the other, we feel it. How do we feel it? We feel it with our somatosensory perception. That part of our nervous system which sends messages to our brain which deal with the feelings in the body. Then we do the same for feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. So these are the 5 skandhas, and we are meditating to see that they are always changing. They don't have a separate self. And it's so easy to see that with feelings, because your feelings are not the same from one moment to the next. So the body is what we call soma. That's a Greek word, huh? Soma. And in Sanskrit is rupa. Rupa. And the feelings. And these four are what we call psyche. So in the four skandhas we have what we call the psyche soma. When you meditate in the Anapanasati Sutta and you do the second four breathings, they are called breathings on the mental formations, this here. Because joy and happiness, which are breathing number 5 and 6, are mental formations. And they are mental formations that give us a pleasant feeling. So when we do that meditation, we meditate on the mental formations that give us a pleasant feeling to start with. And then we can go on and meditate on the mental formations that give us a painful feeling or a neutral feeling. So feelings only have 3: pleasant, painful, and neutral. And all the things like joy and anger and so on, they belong to mental formations. So we can see how these two things are connected, because some mental formations give us pleasant and some unpleasant. And our body can give us pleasant and unpleasant feelings. So the feelings, they come into from both sides. And then we say, Bhikshus, the 5 aggregates are empty. These 5 things are empty. They are produced from the mind. Once the mind stops operating, and Thai translates, stops operating in its usual way, the aggregates stop operating as well. So this is about emptiness. And I think one thing that Thai has helped us so much with is to see that emptiness means not a separate self-entity. So what we meditate to see is that these 5 skandhas, they cannot be there without each other. They are in each other. In the body you have all the other 4, and in the feelings you have all the other 4. We've just seen how without the somatosensory perception, we would have no idea we had a body. And our body wouldn't last very long. So our perceptions are in our body. And if we didn't have a body, we wouldn't have perceptions, because our eyes, ears, brain, they are all part of our body. So all this inter-is. And then it says, the skandhas are produced from the mind. They are born from the mind. To understand this, we need to look at another teaching of the Buddha. And that is the teaching in the Mahanidana Sutra, in the Digha Nikaya. And this sutra is about interdependent co-arising. you may have heard of the 12 links of interdependent co-arising. In fact, when you chant the Heart Sutra, you will chant, they are not separate self-entities. But in this sutra, the Buddha doesn't teach the 12 links. He teaches 10 links. He starts off with death and old age and all the suffering. Why is there death and old age? Because there is birth. Why is there birth? Because there are ideas of being, because there is being. Why is there being? And goes back and get back 10 times. And when we get to one point, why are there the 5 sense organs and objects of sense? Because there is the psychisoma. Why is the psychisoma? Yansa, Nama Rupa. Why is the psychisoma? Because there is consciousness. So it looks very like that what it says in the sutra, that the skandhas, the psychisoma, is produced by consciousness. But in the Mahanidana Sutra, the monks ask the Buddha, and why is consciousness? Hoping the Buddha would go back another step. But the Buddha didn't go back another step. The Buddha said, consciousness is because psychisoma is. And psychisoma is because consciousness is. They need each other. And this is how I like to understand this section of the sutra. Yes, the aggregates are born from the mind, but the mind is also born from the aggregates. When we talk about our body in Buddhism, we say that our body every cell of our body contains consciousness. Consciousness is in every cell of our body. So our body is a support for consciousness. And consciousness also makes our body possible. So that it is a relationship. Now in quantum mechanics, scientists say that things have no separate properties. They only have properties in relationship. So this is very close to, I think, what we learn in Buddhism. That, like I said when I saw you this morning, I am here because you are there. You are there because I'm here. We can only be in relationship. That is how we manifest. We can only manifest in relationship when we are in relation to something other than us, something outside of us. And of course, you can see that in your daily life, not only in sitting meditation. Bhikshus dwelling in concentration meditate on forms as sense objects, and you will see their dissolution and be free from the illusory nature of perception vis-à-vis forms. Meditate as such for the other sense objects, sound, smell, taste, touch, and objects of mind, and you will see their dissolution and be free from the illusory nature of perceptions vis-à-vis sound, smell, taste, touch, and objects of mind. This is the meditation on signlessness, the second door of liberation. And it can be practiced at any moment in our daily life. This morning, eating my breakfast, or yesterday, I can't remember, eating my breakfast, I can practice signlessness. You look at the apple, and normally you give the apple a sign. The first sign you give it is apple, and the second sign you give it maybe sour or sweet, or tasty or not tasty. And normally we eat like that, relying on sounds, on signs like that. But if we remove the sign apple, this was already touched, this was already dealt with in the last Dharma talk on the Vajratedika. And when we talk about signlessness, we're talking about the Vajratedika Sutra at the same time. If you remove the sign apple, what do you see? You see, I'm eating sunshine. I'm eating rain. And I'm eating the apple blossom. Because although the apple blossom is very, very fragile, it doesn't last very long. Very fragrant. It's there. If it wasn't there, the apple wouldn't be there. So it's there in the apple. And when you see that, as you eat, you are practicing signlessness. And you are free, and what it says here, you are free from the illusory nature of your normal perception of identifying something by a sign. I identify everything when I perceive something, I identify it with a sign. And that sign is a wrong perception. I need it. I need to know, oh, this is Sister Hiền Đức, and this is Sister Hiền Nhan. When I talk to them, if I say, oh, hello, Sister Hiền Nhan, when I talk to Sister Hiền Đức, then she will tell me I've made a mistake. And that's quite true. I've made a mistake in the conventional sense. But if I take away the sign Hiền Đức, and I take away the sign Hiền Nhan, maybe I will see Thai. Because Thai is part of Hiền Đức and part of Hiền Nhan. Hiền Đức, Hiền Nhan. So our signs are the signs we look at are the way our brain works, and it can deceive us, and it can make us suffer. I used to go on tour with Thai, and sometimes we went to Korea, and sometimes we went to China. And we would go to very old monasteries. And these old monasteries had wood blocks with the sutra, for printing the sutras. And one Korean monastery had the whole of the Chinese canon in blood. One monk had cut his finger and written the whole Chinese canon in blood. So we look at that, and twice Thai showed me, he said, look, he said, this is the Gatha in the Vajracharika Sutra. I shouldn't really waste time, but I like reading Sanskrit, I'm sorry. Okay. Ye mam rupena tradakshu, ye mam goshena janvayuh, mitya prahana prashrita, namam drakshanti te janach. You know what it means? Oh. Those people who look for me in form, those people who try and find me in sound, they are attached, they are wrongly attached. They are wrongly attached to an abstraction, and they do not see me. Whenever Thai pointed that out to me, I think Thai is telling me something. They are attached to an abstraction. Oh, this Sanskrit word means abstraction. I don't know what it is in Vietnamese, I'm sorry. It's not quite, it's not abstract, it's abstraction. So abstraction is something that we take something out of something and we get caught in it. So like the flower. We take the idea of flower out of it and we are caught in the idea of flower, and so we can't see the sunshine and the everything else. Anyway, something like that. Yeah, they cannot see, and they cannot see me. Me means the Buddha. When I visited Thai in Thailand one time, Thai was sitting in the wheelchair, and monk was he was in his hut, and a monk was pushing the wheelchair slowly around the hut. And Thai looked at me, and Thai went like this, and like that. Yeah. And then all in the hut, Thai, there were all Thai's books. And so when Thai went past Thai's books, Thai would go like that. And I didn't know what Thai was trying to say. But then I recognized afterwards Thai would say, don't be caught. Don't be caught in the form of Thai. Don't be caught in the outer form of Thai. Thai is in these books, Thai is here, Thai is everywhere. The other day I had a dream. And all the whole sangha of monks and nuns, they'd all come together in somewhere in France, I don't know why. They were all there, and we had to go together to visit. What's Maison de l'Inspire. We were all going there. I don't know how we'd all fit in, but we were going. Because the international Sangha, we must be nearly 1,000 people, huh? I don't know. Very. Many hundred, huh? So we were all going to go there, and everybody had their ticket to go on the train to get there. But Sister Eleni and I didn't have a ticket. I don't know why. Maybe we're a bit slow and we got there late. So we didn't get our ticket. And suddenly I thought, oh, this is urgent. I have to do something. And we get to the ticket office, and the ticket office is closed. And then then the ticket office man, he's very kind. He comes up and he said, "Do you need something?" He said, we need a ticket." And he said, "No problem." Yeah. And he said, "You can have half price. Instead of paying for 2 tickets, you can pay for 1 ticket." Oh, we were so happy. We had our ticket. And then we went outside, and the Sangha was all there, about to walk up the stair to go to the train. And I think, oh, it's so beautiful. And you know, sometimes we see the birds, they're going on the migration, the wild geese, and they're so beautiful, or in their formation. And I thought, it's more beautiful than the wild geese. It's so beautiful. And I thought, yeah, that is Thai. Thai is in each one. And then after that, I had to write to Thai and tell Thai. Yeah, Thai, I managed to see your body outside of your body. And I like very much the meditation on the cloud. When you urinate, you get caught in the sign that this is urine. And when you look at the cloud, you may get caught in the sign that the cloud is pure water, the rain. But if you see the signless nature and you remove the sign defiled and immaculate, you can see the pure water in the urine, and you can see the urine in the cloud. This is the meditation on signlessness, in being able to remove the sign we normally have in order to see closer to the true nature of something, is very important when we lose someone we love. And before we lose that person, we need to meditate to see them outside their physical body. And then we won't suffer so much, and we can keep in touch with them after they are no longer manifesting in that particular sign. So we now talk about because of this purity of understanding, the 3 defiling qualities of mind, greed, hatred, and delusion, will be uprooted. These are 3 mental formations: craving, hatred and anger, and ignorance. And we all have these mental formations in consciousness. And sometimes Thai has said that the Buddha is not someone who doesn't maybe have the seed of anger, the seed of craving, but the Buddha knows how to transform that seed very quickly. And so as disciples of the Buddha, that is what we want to do. We want to be able to transform that seed. And craving is a sign, hatred is a sign, and ignorance is a sign. And of course we are taught quite rightly that when craving manifests in us, in our mind consciousness, we have to recognize it and call it by its name. This is craving. And when hatred manifests, we have to recognize it and call it by its name. But having called it by its name, we have another practice to do, the practice of signlessness. And that is to remove the sign craving and find out what is in there, what is there with it. Normally we see our suffering, our mental formation as a block. And it's very difficult to penetrate it and help it dissolve. And here we're talking about dissolution, dissolving. But if we can actually stay with that craving after we've recognized it and see what is in it, and see that in it is ignorance, in it is our suffering, that block, it begins to dissolve, to go out in many different parts, and it no longer has the power to make us do something. So with mindfulness, we can help these mental formations to dissolve. And then last of all, two signs that we have to help dissolve is the sign I and mine. Does anybody know how to sing this poem of Thai? Somebody put it to music. You are me, and I am you. Have you not seen that we inter-are? You nourish the flower in your heart, so that I can be beautiful. I transform the compost in myself, so that you do not have to suffer. I support you. You support me. I manifest in life to offer you peace and joy. You manifest to bring me happiness. If we want to, does anybody know how to sing that song? You are me, and I am you. Have you not seen that we inter-are? That's all I remember, hoping somebody else could sing the rest. So this, I hacked it up. So this meditation, this practice is what we were talking about. I can only exist in relationship. I am what I am because you are what you are. And I think it works in both when our relationship is going well and when our relationship is not going well. It's true. It's not just true that when I like somebody that I can see that you are me and I am you. But when I don't like somebody, that somebody make me suffer, I also see that you are me and I am you. And we all have our bright side, and we all have our shadow side. And something that we very easily do as a human being with our brain, as it is that we project our shadow side onto others. And what we consider is not beautiful in ourselves, we will see very clearly in someone else. When you do shining light, you may see that sometimes. You see your own faults very easily when other people have them. So once we realize that, we realize that how we are interrelated. And we also feel that acceptance of everyone. One meditation that I like very much is the meditation of touching the earth. And when we touch the earth, we have been taught to contemplate, I am nothing. I am utterly nothing. I let go of all ideas I have about me. And after practicing that, we practice acceptance. We accept all our elders, all our youngers, all our ancestors, all our descendants in the spirit of, I accept you because I am not perfect. How can I expect you to be perfect when I am not perfect? And in that spirit, we can practice letting go of the sign that we have of somebody being not perfect. And because that sign is what can shut that person out of our heart. And if we can let go of that sign, you're not perfect, you don't do it right, then we can let that person back into our heart again. And putting yourself in the touching the earth position, where you see, I'm nothing, I'm utterly nothing, that can, and I accept all my youngers and elders just as they are. It can really help. Bhikshus, once you are free from the view I am, you no longer consider what you see, hear, feel and perceive as realities independent of your own consciousness. Why? Because consciousness arises from causes and conditions. Consciousness and the conditions from which it arises are always changing and impermanent. Because consciousness is impermanent, it cannot be grasped. The consciousness skandha, like all other phenomena, is empty. So there is nothing that it can create. There is nothing it can create. This meditation is called wishlessness, aimlessness, the third door of liberation. So, have to have a neck. Huh? Maybe an arm. And maybe some hair. Maybe an eye. Okay. Maybe a smile. So, this is your aim. This is you. This is your aim. So your aim is out there, is separate from your consciousness. But here we see that consciousness is always changing. And it's not separate from the objects of consciousness. So in in psychology we say this is the subject, and this is the object, and this is the perception, and this is the king fang. This is tương phang. This is darshana bhaga. This is I can't remember. Anyway, so the part of the perception is made of two things: the subject and the object, and they always arise together. It's not that the subject is there and the object is out there, and they're both existing in their own pocket, and you perceive something from something permanent, you perceive something permanent out there. The fact is that you can only perceive something when it's part of your consciousness, not outside. It's very deep teaching and it's a bit difficult. So, what we do is we think something outside. So I will give an example. There was a team of climbers who were going to climb Everest, and they trained for many months in the United States before going to Nepal. And during their training, they trained, of course, physically to have the physical strength to climb the mountain, but they also trained psychologically, that they had a goal, and that was they were going to get to the top of Mount Everest. So this is Mount Everest, and this is me standing on top. Yeah. So that is the aim that you have. So when they got to Nepal, they were given instruction on about their climb. And they were told that there's a certain point on the mountain, I don't know where. It's called Camp 4 or something. Probably higher up, actually. Okay. And if you don't get there by 4:30, you must, in the afternoon, you must turn back. Because after 4:30, on Everest, the storms, the snowstorm, the blizzard, the winds, they get very strong, and so you won't survive. So everybody is given that instruction. But because they had been training themselves psychologically to see themselves standing on top of Mount Everest, when they got to Camp 4, it was past 4:30. But they said, never mind, let's take a risk, let's try it. Well, of course, what happened, they never came back. But so this has something to do with impermanence. Our consciousness is impermanent, and the thing we consider to be the out object also impermanent. So there's a danger of being caught in our aim, because we cannot see that we are changing all the time. So this aim, it comes from your brain, huh? You think about it a lot. It's okay to have an aim. So you bring it back, you put it in your belly. Here. Huh? So we have a lot of nerve cells, neurons in our belly. Huh? So you can put your aim there. And we all have an aim. Huh? We want to continue the Buddha. We want to continue Thai. And we put that aim inside of us. We want to build a pure land. But don't put that aim out there as something separate from you. It's part of you. And in the Sukhavati Sutra, it's a part that says, when someone makes the aspiration, to be born in the Pure Land. They are born there right away. They don't have to wait until they die. So making an aspiration is something very deep. And you see that the Pure Land is really there, is really present when you make that aspiration. And you make the aspiration to be born there, right here and right now, not in the future when you die. Because then you will have a picture of the Pure Land as being somewhere out in the West. And maybe when you're on your deathbed, you may get afraid and think, well, what if it doesn't really exist? And then you may suffer. But if you've been able to find the Pure Land in your own heart, then you have no fear when you're on your deathbed. And then Thai teaches us, you are beautiful as you are. Because we put out some idea of how we should be. And we try and get there. But we have to recognize that, or you want to get enlightened, there's something out there, that the seed of enlightenment is already in you. The interbeing nature of consciousness and which this is talking about, and the object of consciousness is something that neuroscientists are beginning to understand. It's not just a Buddhist teaching. And that the object cannot be there without the subject. And the subject cannot be there without the object. When you are young, you have so many aims, so many things you want to do. And that is good. But at the same time, everything is impermanent. Thai had the aim that Thai wanted to renew Buddhism. And Thai thought that Thai would renew Buddhism in Vietnam. In the end, things are impermanent. Thai couldn't go back to Vietnam. And Thai had to renew Buddhism in the West instead. But if Thai had been caught, I can only renew Buddhism in Vietnam. So that is what our aim is like, our vow is like. It has to be very flexible and adapt to the causes and conditions, the impermanence.
Dear Thai, dear Sangha, after the small sound of the bell, we will stand up and then we will bow in gratitude for the beautiful teaching this morning, and then please sit back down again for some short announcement. Thank you.